it might be hard to believe given the state of our politics over the last few decades, and particularly at this very moment in time, but the members of Congress do indeed have a code of ethics that they are bound to follow. It's a long and quite thorough document. It consists of no fewer than 22 clauses and an abundance of subclauses. You're looking at it right now. The Code of Official Conduct for the House holds its members to certain rules regarding finances, campaign funds, compensation, relationships, who they hire, and more. As a general rule, our federal politicians and their staff are expected to avoid criminal activity. But as we know, those who make the laws don't always follow them. And that couldn't have been more evident back in 2006, a year of sleaze and corruption in Congress. From 2005 to 2006, just ahead of the midterm elections, 4 Republican congressmen resigned as a result of ethics scandals and criminal indictments. Democrats portrayed the Republican Party as enmeshed in a, quote, culture of corruption. You had Congressman Duke Cunningham, who resigned in 2005 after admitting to accepting more than $2 million in bribes and pleading guilty to federal charges of bribery, mail fraud, wire fraud, and tax evasion. Congressman Mark Foley was accused of sending teenage boys sexually explicit text messages. He didn't deny the allegations at the time, but he was never charged criminally. House Majority Leader Tom DeLay resigned after a Texas court charged him with violating campaign finance laws and money laundering. DeLay was also connected to prominent lobbyist Jack Abramoff, whose downfall took out several lawmakers and congressional staffers as well. Abramoff pleaded guilty to conspiracy, fraud, and tax evasion for defrauding mainly Native American tribes that were trying to develop casinos on their reservations. The Republican Congressman Bob Ney resigned in 2006 after pleading guilty to several charges in connection to the Abramoff scheme. Several other Republicans lost re-election that year because of their proximity to or their controversy or scandals of their own. The Democrats did have a few scandals of their own that year, including the Congressman William Jefferson, who was charged with accepting bribes and engaging in money laundering in a bizarre case that involved FBI agents finding tens of thousands of dollars in his freezer. The so-called culture of corruption within the Republican Party in 2006 led to a sweeping victory for Democrats who reclaimed the House and the Senate. And with their renewed power, the House Democrats decided to, I guess you could call it, drain the swamp long before someone else made that phrase a false campaign promise. In 2008, the Democrats established something called the Office of Congressional Ethics. This is a nonpartisan, independent entity that reviews allegations of misconduct by members of the House of Representatives. It serves a different purpose than the House Ethics Committee. The fundamental difference between the office and the Ethics Committee being that the board members of the Office of Congressional Ethics are private citizens, not members of Congress. As stated on the OCE website, the mission of the OCE and its board is to assist the House in upholding high standards of ethical conduct for its members, officers, and staff, and in doing so, to serve the American people. The Office of Congressional Ethics reviews claims and allegations against House members, but cannot act any further than that. When appropriate, the office refers investigations to the House Ethics Committee for further review. Now, both Republicans and Democrats have argued in the past that the Office of Congressional Ethics holds too much power. But it's been imperative to accountability and transparency in Congress. It's a necessary part of the checks and balances on this democracy. Yet, since its inception, Republicans seeking to avoid independent scrutiny have tried to abolish the Office of Congressional Ethics, and this year is no different. In the House Republican rules package are several clauses that would essentially gut the OCA and render it nearly useless. The new rules would limit the ethics office and make it harder for it to do its job. Let me state the irony here. The Republican Party, a caucus devoid of a working moral compass and bursting at the seams with conspiracy theorists, big lie promoters, insurrection sympathizers, and one man who might actually be a pathological liar who got sworn in early this morning, that Republican Party wants to shield those people from ethics investigations. You'd think an incoming majority would want to highlight its commitment to ethics, not try to skirt it. Which is why the timing of this move is notable. Just a few weeks ago, before the last Congress adjourned, the House committee investigating the January 6th insurrection referred several Republican members of Congress to the House Ethics Committee for refusing to comply with subpoenas. But that was a pipe dream. Because now that Republicans control the House and the Ethics Committee, they were never going to investigate their own in connection with the attempted coup of the U.S. government 2 years ago yesterday. But you know who could? The Office of Congressional Ethics. Unless, of course, it's taken down to its studs. It seems the culture of corruption lives on.